So as you breathe, allow your breath to be deep and slow. Sensing the warmth, the gentleness, yet the power of the breath of life breathing you, enfolding you, and filling you from the inside out. And as we breathe and affirm oneness, I invite you to allow my words to be your words as I speak from the I am. I am the sacred diamond. I embrace my humanity and I rise in my divinity. And as I am aware of my breath, I bring my keen awareness to my physical body, the holy temple of my soul, my spirit. And I know that my spirit lives and extends far beyond my body. And as I embrace the beauty and magnificence of my body, I sense any sensations that are alive within my holy body temple. And I greet each one with the breath of love. And as I breathe deeply, I am aware of my heart, my physical heart, and my spiritual heart, the home of the wise one, the sacred one, and the seat of divine desire. And so with each breath, I allow myself to enter the chambers of my divine heart as I sense each breath emanating in and out of my heart. Sensing a golden globe of light faintly. And with each inhalation and exhalation, sensing that light growing and radiating powerfully as I say yes to opening my heart, yes to the desires of my heart that call to my attention. And so I ask the wise one within, What desires beckon to be expressed in, through, and as me? What desires long to give birth? And I listen in the stillness. And deep within the chambers of my heart, I ask, what kryptonite weakens? What fears, what worries, what unhealed belief must I let go of in order to rise in the power of possibility, to express that which is most alive in me? And I listen. Oh, I listen to my heart song. And with courage, I animate with passion and zeal the desires, the divine desires that long to be manifested brilliantly, beautifully, and boldly in my life and in this world. And so I say yes, yes, yes. And I say, thank you. Thank you. It is done. It is complete. And I let go. I let go as I affirm this or something higher for my soul's unfoldment. And in this consciousness of animation, of life, of love, of faith, of zeal, and of surrender, I go forth. I go forth, being the highest expression of my divine nature I am capable of, going forth, living the desires of my heart. And so it is, and so it shall be. And as we breathe into the power and presence of community, with reverence in our hearts, let us become aware of the chair, the couch, the recliner, the bed that is beneath us. Sense the energy and vitality of divine life flowing through you. Sense the open heart that you live from. And if it feels right, I invite you to stretch both of your arms over your head as you say, yes, yes, yes. And when you are ready, I invite you to open your eyes.
Gratitude before me, gratitude behind me, gratitude to the left of me, gratitude to the right of me, gratitude above me, gratitude below me, gratitude within me, gratitude all around me, and I'm so grateful. 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 Gratitude within.
So good morning again. Desire. Desire. Desire is something that is alive within all of us. And many of us have had the experience of having the desires of our heart to come into fruition, to be manifested, to be the experience that we live in and breathe in. And like you, many of us have not had some of those desires come into fruition in our lives. So just want to review what I shared last week, that desire is an aspect of our spiritual power of love. And our ultimate desire, our highest level of activating desire, is to be the highest expression of our divine nature, to ascend and live from the I am that many of the masters like Jesus spoke of. But that is not always easy. And as I said in the meditation, that we are a sacred diamond, where we are having the experience of a physical world. We live and have an experience of being human in physical reality. And we also powerfully rise in our divinity. And so those desires that come tapping on our heart can emanate from our highest place in consciousness to be transformed from the inside out, to use our spiritual gifts in service to others. And sometimes as we navigate our way through this physical world in our humanness, there are some desires that we need. We might need or desire a new job, some income to take care of some of our essentials, or even having the desire to go on vacation. And so desire is neither right nor wrong, as it is taught, but it is about us becoming aware from what place in consciousness is that desire arising for us. For a couple years, our platform angels, when they would share the power of the month, would share when we are centered in spiritual consciousness from our highest place, then we use our power of love, or whatever the power would be, from that actualized place. And then they also share it when we're coming from personality self. And so again, we have free will, and and because of that, we have the exquisite gift of choice. And so in order to have the desires that are knocking at the door of our heart, as Emily Cady, author of Lessons in Truth, spoke of, we must align our consciousness. We must unify and harmonize our consciousness to the highest vibration possible in order to have liftoff. Last week, I spoke about all those energy drains, when we live in the past and project in the future, we're nursing our wounds, that they are like the kryptonite. And I will speak more about that in just a moment. So when we are living from that place of spiritual consciousness, you really kind of know it when you're coming from that place, right? So how do we actualize our power of desire, our power of love in a deeper way? And so I'd like to share a personal story with you. And I am going to, maybe Matt, you could spotlight, if it's not already there. So I'd like to share a personal story with you. And it is about me realizing a desire of my heart at the time when I first was separated from my ex-husband. And my 3-year-old boys and I moved in with my parents. My home that I had at the time that we left was unlivable. While I was on vacation at a beach home that my cousin owned with my 2 boys, my ex-husband, who was an alcoholic, decided it was the right and perfect time to remodel our house. And this involved a jackhammer. Now, let's just say a very drunk man and a jackhammer is not a winning combination. So as he jackhammered away through, I don't know, probably 4 rooms of the house, concrete, sheetrock, thick, deep soot covered the walls, the floors, the windows, and even covered every toy that my boys owned that were nicely stored in our family room. So as I was newly living with my parents, I was very short on cash, did not have any savings, and I had less than wonderful credit. And I had this desire to own a new car. The car that I had at the time was in constant need of repair. And I was pretty new at this, affirming your desires, using affirmations to bring into your life the things that you wanted. And so I just had a very simple affirmation that I would recite throughout the day, just a few times. Thank you for my new and affordable car. But little did I know that my self-limiting beliefs, my very low self-esteem at the time, and thoughts of financial insecurity that were really deeply held within me were like the kryptonite that weakened my desire to manifest that new car in my life. So one evening, at the time I was teaching in Homedale, and they had a family event. And so I took my 2 boys to that event. And as I was driving home that evening, driving through a very affluent area of town, my car broke down. And it was in the days before I owned a cell phone. So with two boys in hand, I went to the nearest house and I knocked on the door. The woman who was so kind, and she invited us into her home. And I was able to call AAA, and I was also able to arrange for a ride home. But something else happened while I was in there. In the midst of her deep kindness that she was sharing with me, and in the midst of the beauty and the abundance that surrounded me, I had a moment where time just seemed to stand still. And all of a sudden, silently, I just said, yes. I said, yes to abundance. I said, yes to having and owning a new car that was safe for me to drive, not only my young boys in, but myself. And that clear, powerful intention that was focused and animated by possibility seemed to melt away all the fears and the old baggage about who I was away. And I just felt this new sense of possibility. And my intention energized in this possibility with clear focus set in motion a series of events, unexpected events, events that I would be considered to be miraculous, that were synchronistic. And, for time's sake, I won't get into all the details. But within 10 days of that event, I was driving a new car, and it was financed in a way that was affordable and was $7,000 off the list price. So that was one of the most powerful experiences I had around, manifesting a desire. Now, many of you who are gathered here are not new to using affirmations to manifest your desires or that which you experience in your life, want to experience in your life. But I always believe that each and every day, if we say yes to spiritually growing, then we say yes to looking at that which we know and making the commitment to practicing it, because we know a lot of stuff, but sometimes we can get a little bit complacent and can be maybe like me, where you just simply, affirm something a couple of times a day, but you're not using all of your spiritual powers in the direction to get clarity about what is the desires of my heart and how to bring them into fruition. And so today we are going to explore the next law in the series that we have been covering in the 7 spiritual laws of success, and that is the law of intention and desire. And according to Deepak Chopra, the law of intention and desire is this: inherent in every intention and desire is the mechanics for its fulfillment. Intention and desire in the field of pure potentiality have infinite organizing power. And when we introduce an intention in the fertile ground of pure potentiality, we put this infinite organizing power to work for us. And in the words of Charles Fillmore, co-founder of Unity, he shares similarly, but with different language. Whatever the seed word is that is implanted in our omnipresent spirit substance, this seed word will germinate and grow and bring forth fruits after its kind. Just as the farmer therefore selects the very best seed corn for planting, so we must choose the words that will bring forth the rich harvest of plenty. So seed word here is meaning that what we hold in consciousness. It's not just the spoken and written word. It is our thoughts. It is our behavior, what we do. You know, we can see things with our affirmation. Oh, I am healthy and strong, and I release 15 pounds effortlessly. That's a wonderful seed thought in the form of written form and the spoken word. But then if I move through my day eating junk food all day, that is like kryptonite to the spoken word I've just recited. So spirit substance is the same thing as the field of pure potentiality that Deepak says, AKA God, infinite potential. And so let's just take a look. So our harvest, we desire the harvest of our desires, but sometimes we are harvesting that which we are not even realizing we are energizing throughout our day. So let's just take a look at this as I've combined these two, Deepak and Fillmore. When we introduce an intention, seed word, in the fertile ground of pure potentiality, spirit substance, AKA God, we put this infinite organizing power to work for us to bring forth fruits after its kind. So as I was energizing my fears of financial insecurity and lack, I found it interesting that my car began to break down more and more, just saying. So how can we be master intenders, masters of our desires? So I came up with a little acronym as I looked at the teachings of Fillmore, as I looked at the teachings of Deepak, put them together. And even at the end, I'll share a little bit of the teachings of Lynn McTaggart. That is going to be a little teaser for the future. I came up with IRA and let go. Invest in an IRA for yourself and let go. So I, identify the desire, or recognize your kryptonite. 3, A, animate and fertilize your desire. And then 3, this or something better, let it go. And so let's take a look at each one of those steps. Identifying your desire. What is it? Can you be clear with it, right? There was not just the desire to have a physical object of the car, but there was the desire of safety that I think trumped everything for me in energizing that. And so just being really clear. Again, when we were studying living originally, Robert Brummett spoke about that there is a difference between translational spirituality and transformative, and it's neither not right or wrong. It's just recognizing it. Sometimes as we're operating in this physical world, there are needs. And so when we're looking at, I would like to have a new relationship, a new car, so on and so on. It is about bringing that into expression. And transformative spirituality is, yes, I'm interested taking this experience I am in, not just to have this physical object in my life, but I want to be transformed spiritually. I want it to elevate me to a new understanding of my divinity, my new understanding of the spiritual teachings that I talk about, that I read about. And then once I identify my desire, I ask the question, where in consciousness is this coming from? Is it in alignment with my highest good, right? Is it something that will satisfy a fleeting pleasure, like a shopping spree, and then later not so happy about the debt I had incurred? Does it do no harm? Again, you can say not having having that debt kind of creates some angst or harm in my life. But also thinking back to the example, I know he wasn't in right mind and he wasn't intoxicated, but The desire to remodel a house is wonderful, right? However, from the place in consciousness where he was not awake at any shape of the imagination, it wasn't for the highest and best for all of us. And then you ask yourself, is this desire, when we're looking at it, is it for my highest good? Is it calling forth for me to align with my core values? Or is it asking me to be not in alignment with that and get what I want in maybe ways that are unethical? So once I have identified that desire, I really look and see, is it in alignment with my highest good? I can write a clear and concise affirmative statement, and I can carry that with me and just remind myself. So then we move to our next step. Recognize your kryptonite. What will weaken, disengage the oomph that is needed to tap into that field of pure potentiality that, we have free will. So, we send out from our vibration and it kind of matches back. And I know that's not the whole story, but all of us have had these types of experience. So what are some types of kryptonites? Our fears of financial insecurity, worrying about the future, those unhealed hurts, those beliefs that we hold about that, where we're projecting our hurts and we don't even realize it. The self-limiting behaviors and patterns of behavior, living in the past or the future and not being present right here, right now. And holding on to the jar. I've shared this before, standing for nursing and holding in consciousness judgments of ourselves, judgments of others, attachment. What is it that you desire? Put it out there and then let it go. Or are we trying to control it and have it just the way we want? And then the R is resistance. Where is resistance showing up in my life? And all of these are just some of the examples of the kryptonite that could weaken the manifestation of your desire. And then we go to the animate. That is our power of life. How do we animate? And as Charles Fillmore spoke of, how do we fertilize our seed thoughts? So it is that clear and focused attention. Not only can we affirm that throughout the day, bringing ourselves maybe in that meditative state where we, in between thoughts that fill our head, we can slip into those still moments and affirm it. Again, we talked about carrying it, using our power of imagination. Sometimes not even using words. Some of us can visualize things, some of us can't. Maybe so you can do imagination by telling a story, right? Where you can see where would I be if this was manifest? How I would carry myself? What emotions would fill me if this was an expression? How would I be celebrating as I experience this in my life? And so that is all part of engaging our power of imagination. And some people say sometimes to me, I'm not a visualizer. Well, writing the story of your desire as if it is in your life right now in present tense is using your power of imagination. You can even call someone up and say, they're congratulating you and you're sharing this enthusiasm about this being in your life. We are called to embody our divinity at the highest place possible. How are we living? Is what I'm wanting and desiring and how I'm behaving, are they in the highest place? Is there a match there, or is there a disconnect? And then we go to letting it all go. Yeah, letting it all go. That is being in that place of non-attachment. It's hard sometimes when you really want something. And to allow whatever shows up is here to help me, right? Sometimes I've had the deep desire of my heart for spiritual transformation. I've said this prayer numerous times, I desire to live from the highest place where I'm using my gifts of healing, my spiritual gifts in service to others, And sometimes what shows up are the things that need to be cleared. The kryptonite becomes very clear about what is needing to be released in order for me to go to that place of altitude. And sometimes we think there's something wrong when it's just part of that evolving process. And the last one I'm going to share, as I was doing some research on this, Lynn McTaggart is not somebody who is new to me. And I had gotten her last book, The Power of, her latest book, which was written a couple years ago, The Power of Eight, a while back. And I was very interested in, and then life happened and pandemic happened. And anyway, needless to say, I put that on the side. And so as I was doing research here, it came up again, and I started looking at some of the stories in The Power of Eight and some of her videos. And she said that she began having these circles, and I have a video that will end it. So, but what she said was a big part of manifesting intentions in her life was not focusing on her own needs, being so obsessed with what I want, what I desire, but to be in that place of altruism. So when we let go, we put it there, but then to go throughout the day, being in service to others, asking, how can I use my gifts to serve others? That was the opening space that powerfully created manifestation in the lives of the participants in her group. So, my friends, I call you into practicing investing in your IRA, identifying your divine desires, recognizing your kryptonite, animating and fertilizing your desires, and then letting it all go. And I'm going to end today with a little teaser from Lynn McTaggart. It is something that will be a future series, in the very near series, and it is going to be the next class and groups of circles that I will invite us to participate in as a community. And so I share this video with you.
You know, I'm an investigative reporter by background, so I like hard evidence and proof. And I wanted to test the power of intention. I'd heard a lot about law of attraction and intention, and I really wanted to test it to the limit. So I set up these big intention experiments, but I also wanted to see what would happen in a workshop setting. So I didn't know what to do. So I just thought, well, maybe I'll put people into groups of 8 and see what happens. And I figured it would be a feel-good experience. You know, I thought that would be it. They'd send intention to a member of the group with some sort of health challenge. Everybody'd feel a little bit better, and that'd be it. So I did it on one day and asked the people to come back the next day and report on how it was for them. They lined up, one by one took the microphone, and each of them had a story like yours. You know, lifelong IBS gone. Somebody with migraines no longer had any headaches. A woman with multiple sclerosis came in without her crutches the next day. A woman who had a cataract said she was 80% better, you know, and on and on. And I heard it over and over and over again. And actually, the reporter in me was upset by this because I kept saying, I'm not a healer. I'm doing these big intention experiments. These are going to undermine my work. And so I kind of buried the lead of the story, as a reporter would tell you. And for many years, kept running it, but wanting to document it, understand it, study it, and in a way denied it. And it was only when I realized that, you know, hundreds, maybe even thousands of people were having these experiences in the small and large groups that I really sought to talk about it and write about it, but also to understand it and to look at it from every angle, whether it was brain science to even the early Christian church. I found one really amazing thing that in the Acts, which talks about how the apostles were told to pray and to set up their church, there was a mistranslation that Jesus supposedly said, told them to pray, and as it's been translated, with one accord. But the real word, which is Hellenic Greek, and a word that is homothumadon, actually means pray passionately together with one voice. And I sort of thought that, wow, maybe that was an early way that they prayed together. They prayed as one passionately. And that it was constantly said, all kinds of miracles will unfold. But there is an X factor here that is beyond our understanding. When people come together as a group, miracles just happen.
And so there are some very specifics as to how to hold that intention. But when I watched several of her videos, I got goosebumps on me. And I remember when I was first reading about the stories of Charles and Myrtle Fillmore gathering in circles and profound healings happening. And I remember when I was on Tracy Street and I was in the room that Myrtle Fillmore was in, and I felt goosebumps then. And so it is my desire to bring this new work and to see if we can amp up not just our intending, not about being masterful manifestors, but this also connects to taking our prayer practice to another level. So it is with excitement and enthusiasm I await this journey with you. And so I'd just like to say namaste, blessings. May you deepen your understanding and practice of the desires of your heart. And I wish you all a very blessed week.